Live from my mother's basement somewhere in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a Podunk Polymath podcast. Podcast dedicated to sentiments of secular, sarcastic, screwed up Southern SJW and skeptic. I'm your host, Chris. Mosey on in. This is episode 76 of the Triple Po. Hope you all had a nice little couple weeks. Of course, nothing to really announce as far as housekeeping. Everything's about the same. I don't really have anything to say. Of course, Trump sucks, so there's nothing really new there. We're going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah. California's on fire. Trump needs to be impeached. Somebody destroyed his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame with a pickaxe. Anyway, no big deal. Just a day in the life under the Trump regime. Anyway, so I want to go ahead and introduce my guest. We've known each other for 30 years, I guess it's been. Anyway, so I wanted to introduce to you my friend Brandy. How's it going, Brandy?
Hey, how are you?
Fine. How are you, my lady?
I'm good.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. I moved to Philadelphia a couple of years ago with my husband. He got a job, so here I am.
Well, we've known, like I said, we've known each other for a good. It's probably been about 30 years now. I guess it's been.
Yeah, makes me feel old. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody pays attention to the comments, but you're usually in the comment section. Or you have been the last couple of times, so nobody's going to comment now because you're the only person. So.
Yeah.
Most people,
avid viewer.
Yeah, most people listen to the podcast part, and I've said when I started this back up as a live thing, I'm just doing it for my own entertainment mostly anyway. So I guess just not enough people. I mean, I guess if I killed sheep, maybe that would help. I don't know. Something. I don't know what it takes to get viewers or be an asshole. I don't know. Well, I guess I'm not enough of an asshole.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, okay. So, you recently had an experience that kind of rattled. I don't know if rattle is the right word, but kind of fucked with you a little bit. Why don't you go ahead and, as much as you're comfortable, just kind of relate what happened.
Okay, so as you know, I've been a pot smoker since 16 or 17, and I've been relatively lucky. I've gone through my whole life without any confrontations with the law or anything like that. So when I moved up here, I didn't know anybody, and I'm actually pretty shy about talking to new people. It takes me a long time. So a couple of months after I got here, I'd heard that Philadelphia had decriminalized pot, and that made me pretty happy. I thought, well, even if I were to get caught with it, I may just get a fine or a ticket or something like that. But actually, what I didn't take into consideration was that I don't live in Philadelphia proper. I live in a county on the outskirts. But anyway, so because I was having a hard time finding any, I had a little cache of seeds, and I decided I'd grow a few little plants outside of my house, just for my own personal use.
As one does.
Yeah. Well, about a month to 6 weeks later, they were probably about 7 inches high, still babies, I was out with my husband having ice cream with the dogs, and my daughter was living with me at the time. She was 19, and she calls me and says, "Mom, the cops are here. You need to come home right now." And of course, I knew immediately what this was about. So I left my husband and dogs at the ice cream shop because I didn't want him to become involved in this. He has a good job and he's not a pot smoker or anything like this. So I I came home and met the police, and he asked me about it, and I told him, like, yeah, they're mine. I just planted them for my personal use. And he's like, well, you can either invite me in and let me search your entire house, or I'll have the SWAT out here in 10 minutes to tear your entire house apart. So I was like, come on in. So I invited him in. I didn't actually have any actual pot. All I had was like a pipe and some seeds in my house and the plants, the babies that were outside. So I take him on the tour. You know, he comes out, he confiscates my plants, he's taking pictures of everything. Now, this is the interesting part. I expected I was going to be in handcuffs. He's probably going to throw me up against the car. That's not what happened. He's like, well, we're going to have to report this, but I'll just call you in a couple of days and you can just come on down and book yourself. You know, it'll be easy. You know, which is kind of, I had mixed feelings about because,
Well, we'll get to that part.
yeah.
First, just kind of finish out the story, and then we'll talk about kind of.
So anyway, eventually I did go down and book myself. Um, what I got charged with was felony manufacturing of drugs. Right. So
Calm down. I mean,
because of that, you know, I had to hire a high-priced attorney. Cost me thousands of dollars. He did get the charges knocked down to just possession of a controlled substance. Okay. Even with that, the fines for that were like $1,500. Plus, they made me go to an outpatient drug rehab program for like 6 weeks, which I had to pay $100 each time I went. Even though when I went to have the assessment, they gave me a drug test. I tested negative. I'd stopped smoking because I was scared. But still, even testing negative and telling them I'm only a pot smoker, they still made me go to this outpatient drug rehab, which cost me a lot of money, which that's the whole idea, right? They just want to juice every bit of money. And while I was in there, you know, I'm in there with like heroin junkies, crackheads, you know, people that had serious problems. And they're like laughing at me because, like, yeah, I smoke a little bit of weed, you know. So there was that. Also, in Pennsylvania, if you get convicted of possession of a controlled substance, they take away your driver's license for 6 months. So I lost my driver's license. It ended up costing me thousands of dollars. And, you know, it's just really fucking ridiculous. But, you know.
so where are you at right now? Are you?
I'm still on probation. I get off of probation in October. They gave me a year probation, but it's a real lax probation. I just had to pay like $1,000, and just have to call them every month and just let them know that I'm fine. That's pretty much it, or that I'm still employed. I still live at the same place, and I'm not doing any illegal drugs. So that's kind of what my probation. Oh, I can't leave the state either without permission.
So how long is this for?
It was for 1 year, and it'll be up in October.
Okay. Yeah. So that's your birth month, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Happy birthday. So, but the thing is like now I'm going to have a criminal record.
Yeah. Is it a felony or is it just a misdemeanor?
No, he got it down to a misdemeanor after I paid him thousands of dollars. And of course, he's friends with all the DA and the judges and everything. So he knew how to work the system. And, you know, he got it pled down to just a misdemeanor possession of a controlled substance. But even with a misdemeanor possession of a controlled substance, that's going to be difficult to get certain kind of jobs. You know, it's going to be like a blight on your record. So there you go.
Unless somehow you can get expunged, but I don't know if that's how you can do that.
Yeah, the only thing that that might happen if they do decide to legalize marijuana in Pennsylvania, which they might in a few years. I don't know what's going to happen. They're about to do it in New Jersey, which is like 40 miles from where I live. So, they've done that in Colorado. A lot of people that just had simple possession charges, after they legalized it, those charges have now been expunged. So it's a possibility.
Okay, so now we need to kind of dig in a little bit to God damn, you're privileged as fuck. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I realize that.
So
Even though this was deeply traumatic and upsetting to me, and I went through a lot of depression because of it, at the same time, I realized like how lucky I was.
did you even go to a cell, a jail, a
No,
holding?
I never went into a cell. When I went to book myself, the cops were cool. They just took my picture. They told me to stop crying. They're like, "You're gonna be fine. It's okay, really." I was treated with total kid gloves, basically.
And I don't, so let me go ahead and just, you didn't ask. I think this is what people don't understand about privilege. It's not like you're sitting there going, like you're going around asking for privilege or something.
Right? No.
Or you're asking for a loss of privilege. It's just, I think privilege is kind of a misnomer, honestly. Kind of I don't think it's a great descriptor, but that's one we have right now, unless somebody comes up with something better. But it's just kind of this idea, like if you have certain traits, personal traits, such as skin color or
Middle class,
socio socioeconomic status or whatever,
right?
then you're more likely to be treated differently in,
Exactly.
in a positive way in this instance. I mean, let's just,
Yeah, it's totally true.
I
Um,
mean, go
I
ahead.
feel like if I had been really poor or of any other race other than white or something like that, I'd probably be in prison right now. And they probably would have thrown me to the ground and handcuffed me and dragged me off to a cell and everything. I'm aware of that. That's how I think it would have gone down.
Yeah, I guess people don't realize unless it's happened to them. I mean, part of it is, I think, a lack of empathy,
Yeah.
but part of it is just people don't ever, can't even fathom that they would ever be in that situation, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we know that uh, black people, especially black males, are way disproportionately represented in prison.
Yeah.
Of course, we know about the disproportionate drug laws, especially the crack versus cocaine back in the day, when we were basically told that crack was like evil incarnate or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
And it may be, but can't blame the people that, you know, fucking do it. They didn't create the crack problem. They were just, they might have partaken in it, but yeah, crack is not, yeah, not worse than cocaine. They both destroy people and destroy lives and everything, but yet some person on Wall Street who gets caught with coke may not even get charged, because of their privilege.
Yeah, people, in nice little white suburbia do just as much, if not more, drugs
Yeah,
than people in the slums or the projects or whatever. They can just afford, like you've seen, they can afford to get out of shit, or it's attributed to, kids being kid, boys be boys or whatever. You crazy kid, I
yeah,
mean,
definitely. Yeah, they've done statistics on this. Like, black people and white people smoke weed at the same rate. It's not like black ghetto people that are poor, even poor people. It's not like that they do it more. We do it at the same rate, but they get incarcerated more for it. So Yeah. If I hadn't been able, well, actually, not me. My husband is the one who helped me get a lawyer. He's the one that paid for it. If it wasn't for that, if I'd been stuck with a public defender or something like that, I'm sure I probably would have gone to jail.
Yeah, I mean, you. Just, I mean, you. Just, it's not even. I don't know. I guess if you're poor and white, it would be pretty bad.
It'd be similar, yeah. It's mainly a class thing. I do think that people of other races just get treated worse as far as like the arrest process and everything goes, you know? But as far as the outcome of the case, if you're poor and you have a public defender, you're probably fucked. And it also, like, the whole thing, like getting your license taken away for this, I wasn't driving under the influence or anything. They just took my driver's license. But, that really fucked up me going to work. It really, it was really, really hard. And if I was someone who was poor, I would have had to drive anyway, maybe. And then you're risking another arrest. And then it's just like an endless cycle that you can never get out of.
I have never understood the logic of revoking somebody's license because that's the only way. I mean, how are you supposed to get? Well, I know what the reason is. I mean, they want you to keep pumping money into the system. That's pretty
Right.
much what it is. They don't really care that if you ever come out of it.
No, I don't think they really want you to. I mean, it's one thing if you get caught driving drunk or doing some driving related thing, but to take your driver's license for something unrelated to driving, just to, just to keep you in that system. And, I admit, like, while my license was suspended, there were a couple of times I drove. I had to.
You don't have a choice. I mean, especially if you live in an area where there isn't public transportation, which is shit. Most places, not in major cities.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of times when Clint would go out of town for work and I worked like 20 minutes from my house. I worked at night and I would have to drive there and I took a risk. I did take lifts for a while, but it got too expensive. I mean, even it just got too expensive. So luckily, I have my license back now. And I feel so much, I don't know, it's just a huge relief just being able to drive. But yeah, taking your license for that is just a big fuck job. You know, what are you going to do? It's the war on drugs. It's the.
Well, that's probably yeah, and that's an issue that, of course, that's been going on way. I read a book called "Chasing the Scream," which is kind of about the whole war on drugs and kind of the outcomes and kind of what addictions about and all how it all ties together.
Mm-hmm.
And this shit's been going on for before Nixon. Everybody thinks Nixon started the war on drugs. It was actually like Harry Anslinger.
Right, from the 30s, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one who really he was one of those true believer crazy fucker types.
Right.
All right. Well, unless it was a popular white person, like he told who was it? Oh fuck! What Wizard of Oz? What's her name?
Wizard of Oz,
Yeah,
Dorothy.
Dorothy. What's her name? What's the actress?
Oh, Judy Garland.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
found out she was doing on some shit. Oh, well, you just need to go, to the doctor. Just you'll be fine.
Right.
But if it was who's God, I'm so bad with names right now. The famous black singer, Billie Holiday. Was it Billie Holiday?
Oh, she was on heroin, yeah.
Yeah. He was all over her like what well, that's a bad phrase to use.
Yeah.
But no, he had it in for her and he would constantly go after her for shit.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. And meanwhile, the heroin epidemic up here in Pennsylvania, I mean, it's really bad. It's one of the worst states. Ohio, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. It's so bad. And they're still going after people for pot, even though in Philly they have decriminalized it. But as I found out, I don't really live in Philly. I live on the outside of it. So, instead of arresting people, It's not working. Arresting people for using drugs is not working, as we can tell from the heroin epidemic, because people are fucking dropping like flies from it. So
Well, it's I don't know. Part of it is me just thinks that it's a cultural thing. I mean, because we have I mean, it's been proven that treatment is not treating it as a criminal issue, but as a treatment, kind of a medical issue, kind of a
yeah,
something like that. Something that needs to be treated medically, or instead of throw people in jail for what? Then they come out even worse because you throw them with hardened criminals and shit.
yeah,
And then they come out even worse. So I mean, treatment is the way to go.
yeah.
I don't understand the whole idea of criminalizing. Well, again, we've been trying to criminalize fucking morality in this country since the fucking beginning. Like prohibition. Who thought that was a fucking good idea?
I know. Carrie Nation. Yeah. I'm of the opinion that all drug use should be decriminalized. I'm not talking about manufacturing. I'm not talking about people that make meth. I still think that should be illegal. But people that just use, I just don't think throwing them in prison is the right thing to do in the land of the free. It's pretty fucked up, and it destroys people's lives. If I had been single and, kind of living on my little $30,000 a year salary, this would have totally fucking fucked me. And I mean, I still feel fucked by it. I go in between feeling like the system and the man is fucking me to feeling lucky because I had the resources to kind of mitigate it a little bit. So I'm aware of that. But yeah, it's just sad. Our country is so fucked up. It's a fucked up place.
Yeah, and this is one of many aspects, but
Yeah.
we have to concentrate on this one for this
Yeah.
particular.
This is a pretty big one, because it's
Well,
kind of like the new Jim Crow. That's what somebody wrote a book about it, the new Jim Crow, and this is kind of how they facilitate that. This is how they enslave Black people. They catch them for some low level drug shit. They throw them in prison, sometimes a private prison. They get, next to free labor out of them. Lots of people make money off of them. It's a terrible state.
I'm glad you brought that book up. The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. I read it a couple of years ago. It's one of the best books on this topic of how Black people are enslaved, uh, figuratively and literally, if you consider the 13th Amendment, where technically slavery is illegal unless you have done some shit. If you're a felon, well, they can fucking use you as slave labor.
Yeah.
Basically, is what it amounts to. That's the loophole. So, and there's so many other things. I mean, just read the book. I'm going to go ahead and plug the book because it's an awesome book. Apparently, your ass ain't read it. You need to go read that
I
book.
haven't read it. I've heard the author talk about it on different shows, and I've heard people talk about it. I have not read it, but I should because
Yeah, you need to go read that book. I highly recommend anybody read it. If you care anything about these issues, which if you don't, I don't like you anyway. So fuck you. So
yeah.
we're talking about decriminalization. Portugal actually did that, and from what I've seen, and again, chasing the scream, which I wanted to mention again because Johan Harry, I believe the author's name is, talks about kind of what's going on in Portugal. And I think there needs to be a distinction made between decriminalization and legalization because they are not the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I think weed should be legalized and sold and regulated and taxed for the benefit of society. But other drugs that are, more destructive, I just think they should be decriminalized as far as use, not as far as manufacturing. People that cook meth and shit on a large scale, I've seen what meth does to people through members of my own family,
I know, right?
and heroin and shit. Like but people that are just addicts and they're addicted to it and they use it, yeah, like they shouldn't be put in jail for that. They should be taken to treatment. Definitely.
Well, that's what it amounts to in Portugal. They have little courts or whatever they take people to if they catch them using, and they try to get in treatment and stuff. So
And I've heard that drug use has kind of gone down in Portugal.
no, what? No, don't say that. Conservatives don't want to hear that. La 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 la. No.
Right.
They don't want to hear none of that shit. No, no. Of course, the issue, like I said, like you said, decriminalization is okay. The user is okay, but you still have people's fucking making this shit. So that's a whole separate issue, and that's God.
Right.
That whole. Oof, I don't know what you're gonna do about that part. But we're talking strictly about drug use and
Right.
most effective way for people to kind of for the government to deal with people, actual users, and not manufacturers.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But when it comes, I mean, think about how many resources would be freed up if we stopped like going after little piddly ass fucking users.
Yeah, I know.
And actually using those resources to like go after like people who are making like the fucked up shit, you know.
Right. Or even white collar criminals and shit.
Oh no, you can forget that.
Right. That's never gonna. I know that's a fantasy.
Not in this corporatocracy. It's not gonna happen. They own
They
everything.
actually are hurting people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Good.
They're the ones killing people. Yeah, those are the ones taking people's homes away from bombing the economy and taking away people's homes in a
Right.
big crash. But it's all about their personal responsibility when it comes to poor people. When it comes to the wealthy, we'll just bail their asses out.
Right.
Corporate welfare is fine, but we can't have welfare for like regular people because we got to teach them a lesson. They can't be, you got to learn from your personal responsibility, man. Shit, come on.
But that's just another talking point. They don't actually believe in personal responsibility. It's like saying that they actually worked really hard to get their millions and millions of dollars. They didn't work hard.
One person at some point in the family's history may have.
Right.
And they live off that. The family lives off that for fucking ever.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, it's not like Trump. He's the worst. Oh, my God. Don't get me started on that fucker. If he fucking put all his inheritance in an index fund, he'd have made more money than all of his bullshit investing.
Yeah.
Because he sucks at it.
Because he's a bad businessman.
He's a bad man.
Bad man, too. Very bad man. Also a bad businessman. That goes bankrupt that many times. When it's handed to them on a silver fucking platter. Yeah. I mean, yeah. He's the worst person in the world, or at least in the top 10.
Putin's probably out. I'm a lot more frightened, scared of Putin than I am Trump. Honestly.
I could Putin is ruthless and he's way more intelligent in a bad, like diabolical kind of way because he was KGB and everything. But Trump is president of our country, so I'm really more scared of what the fuck he's gonna do because it's gonna affect us immediately.
Well, if you're like not a white guy, I'm fine. So I'll be fine. Okay. Yeah. Fuck all y'all. I'll be fine.
I don't know.
Y'all need to fend for yourselves because that's the American ethos. Every man for himself.
Yeah. Isn't that terrible? We're a terrible fucking society.
Well, we're not a great species anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, this is just like the worst example of the species, probably.
Yeah.
One of the worst examples, anyway.
I know. I try to take, I think about George Carlin a lot. because he was so right about so I try just look at it as a freak show that you've been given a first row ticket to, and sometimes I do try to think about it that way, but it's still really just infuriating and just terribly depressing. And you just feel you're pretty much powerless to do anything about it except vote. I mean, you can vote, but I mean, if you got Russians fucking with our elections now, like,
Okay, so let me go ahead and tell you right now that shit to me is just an excuse.
yeah,
Now,
I know.
Hillary lost because Hillary's a shitty candidate.
Yes, I agree.
Now, she was the most qualified candidate. I don't think there's really an argument about that. However, she treated the coronation like it was
Yeah,
her turn or whatever, and she
right.
had so much fucking baggage.
So much corruption. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I totally agree with that.
Now,
I don't think Russians like actually hacked the outcome of our election, but eh, you know,
well, I
I
think what.
think we should maybe go to paper ballots or
Oh
something.
yeah,
You can't be fucked with.
yeah, no, totally. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. It may have been enough to do some minor shit, but I think it's more of the point that excuse me, another country can fucking like fuck with our shit. I think that's the scarier part. It's just the fact that another country is fucking with our election process. That's what scares me more than
And
anything.
who knows, like, how much our government is fucked with other countries. So maybe it's just karma. I don't know. With their elections, it's possible, but I just think like paper ballots would do a lot to help. You can't hack that shit.
Yeah, I've heard that argument, and I agree with it. And as far as us monkeying with other people's elections and well, fucking assassinating more, what Malcolm X said just keeps coming back to me about chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah.
I know after JFK was assassinated, ooh, they didn't like that. They, ooh, yeah, the old Nation of Islam didn't take too kind. Of course, they had him killed. Everybody knows that.
I think we need to bring back the Black Panthers.
That's what I've been saying. Damn.
You want to open carry? Fine. Let's have the Black
It
Panthers.
happened in California. It worked in California. Back when they started doing that shit in California, Reagan was like, "Hoo!"
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Maybe we do need a little gun control, but yeah. No, I I support the Black Lives Matter movement. I like what they've been doing, but I almost think they should get a little more fucking militant with it. Like Black Panthers.
Yeah. The thing is, though, that it's easy for us to say that because we don't have any
I
skin in
know.
the game.
Because we're probably not going to get shot, but
Yeah. Well, not yet. I mean, but yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not going to sit there and tell anybody they need to do something. I will support what they do now, and I'm not going to. I don't know. It's just hell. They get mad. White people get mad when you kneel on the goddamn
I know.
fucking. Can you imagine if black people actually started fucking walking around with goddamn AKs?
I know. Well, okay, I'm not going to say they need to do it. I'm just saying it would make me happy if they did. I
Well,
understand where they were coming from if they were to bring that kind of thing back.
well, fuck. We gotta do. I mean, we got fucking literal Nazis walking around now, literal and just open
Yeah.
Nazis just walking around and shit.
Lots of them running for Congress under the Republican Party.
Although they always disown them.
Winning their primaries. Yeah, it's really scary.
Well, I mean, we all know. I mean, well, anybody with half a fucking brain knows that Trump enabled that shit.
Oh yeah,
The election of Trump basically was a signal to them that they could start doing this shit, and
right,
especially when he said that shit about there's both bad people on both sides.
right, yeah.
Okay. Well, you're a fucking. I don't even think he's realized. I think he's so stupid that he doesn't realize. I mean, maybe to an extent, he he's all about self promotion. So to the extent that he's trying to please both sides, but I really don't think he's smart enough to understand. The only people he cares about is his people, like
Yeah,
his family.
and
He don't
mostly
give a
him.
fuck.
Mostly him.
Whatever he can get to make him happy, to make him look better, that's all he fucking cares about.
Just the classic example of a narcissistic personality disorder. Uh, I mean, just
Yeah, they always okay. And it's the whole thing with you shouldn't try to diagnose something unless you're a fucking shrink or psychologist. You should never try to diagnose somebody or whatever. But I mean, goddamn,
I can't help it. I mean, he does have a narcissistic personality disorder, and his fans fucking love it. They love it.
yeah, that's another thing that I
It's a
just
cult.
don't.
It's just a cult. It's kind of
It,
like it's
it
like
is.
Alex Jones or any other cult, and those two cults have kind of like melded together in some kind of horrible fucking amalgamation. Yeah.
It's an amalgamation of shit, is what it is,
Mhm.
really. I mean, there's no other way to. I mean, I don't care that we veered off topic because this is a good topic. That Trump is being a piece of shit. I mean, people weren't lying. He wasn't lying when he said, "I could shoot somebody on the middle of the street and nobody would care."
Right. They don't. They're when they find out that he is paid for his mistress's abortion, they're not going to care. No matter how
They
much
don't.
fucking talk about how much the pro-life and hate abortion, when they find out that he's done that, they're not going to care.
Let me. And just for shits and giggles, what I do sometimes, instantly got that phrase from Clint. But anyway, for shits and giggles, sometimes I like to listen to Christian radio.
Yeah.
That's a good time. That's a good time. Let me tell you something. They bend over backwards trying to justify his ass. All the
Right.
fucked up shit. I mean, well, everybody sins, you know. Who am I to judge?
I know. I know.
And there's people like he got. Have you seen the? Oh my god, the picture of him at the Oval Office and at his desk signing something, and Jesus is like standing right there with his hand on the shoulder.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh my god, it's the one of the most fucked up things.
Oh my God. That's just, if there's anyone that's more antithetical to Trump as far as characters go, it's Jesus. It's like totally the fucking opposite of,
They don't.
they don't care. Don't care. It's so tribal. It's just, we're just a tribal fucking nation. It's just whoever's on our team. That's it.
Well, we're a tribal species, to be honest. But
Right. Right. Yeah. But I
yeah.
live here, so this is just what I noticed, like how fucking tribal and how much worse it's gotten. Remember when we were kids, when we were teenagers and stuff, like it wasn't nearly this tribal. It wasn't nearly this,
I don't
partisan.
know. Was it?
I don't
See,
remember it being this way.
people always say that, but I don't. I wasn't paying attention, so it's hard for me to say one way or another. I mean, come on.
I mean, I was because like I come from a family of Democrats, and we had like one uncle who was the fucking Republican fucking hard, and he'd been that way since I was alive. So there was always that dynamic a little bit, but it just didn't reach this level of fucking, I don't know, hatred. I don't know, just extremism, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. They like I said, that's been. I think there is some truth to that because I do know that there used to be liberal Republicans.
Right.
Well, for a Republican, like Rockefeller was considered more of a liberal Republican. So there was kind of a middle ground, a little bit, some more common sense. But
Mhm.
this Tea Party shit has fucked everything up. People are running to the right. I mean, you look at Tennessee, it's fucking disgusting. Some of this shit.
I know. And it sounds like really like hyperbolic to kind of compare it to the Nazis, but you do have to kind of look at that in history because it's a really scary example of what can happen when the right wing goes way too far. And like, could that happen? I don't know. It seems like we're kind of creeping up. We're edging up to that shit.
Well, I don't know if anybody's heard this book. It Can't Happen Here. Sinclair Lewis wrote this book,
Oh,
and it was before World War II, but it was when Hitler was in power in Germany,
oh okay.
and it talked about kind of like a pseudo Hitler taking power here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage anybody who's into that kind of thing, alternative history, which I'm all up some alternative history. It's ass. Go read that book. It's kind of scary because, like I said, it's before World War II happened.
I should go to the library and check that out.
So, I mean,
I
of
would
course,
enjoy that. Yeah.
you need to read The Jungle too, which he also wrote. But that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
that's a whole other thing. But
I know lately I've just been reading a lot of biographies of celebrities. I know
um,
I'm just trying to get a respite from some of this shit because when I watch TV or my YouTube news or any of those, it's just like a constant barrage of this fucking shit. And so sometimes I just feel like I need a break from it. I've been reading Leah Remini's book.
oh Lord, that's a whole other thing.
Oh my God. Yeah, I read Kelly Carlin's book. Yeah. Yeah. I really hate cults. And so I'm interested in reading about people that got out of it.
Cults are definitely something that have always. I mean, I remember I read both. There was two Scientology one was called Inside Scientology, but of course the more popular one was, of course, is Going Clear, which the HBO documentary was based on.
Yeah.
But I would encourage anybody to go read the book, actually, because the book there's a lot more detail. The documentary is more about the personal stories, which are powerful. It's kind of like a companion to me. I think you
Yeah.
should read the book, but also watch the documentary as a
Yeah.
companion piece to see some individual.
There was a good book about that was all about L. Ron Hubbard and like his fucking lies, just everything about him called Barefaced Messiah. And that came out in the 80s and I read that and then that was really fucking good.
I'm gonna look that up.
Barefaced Messiah. And then there was a book I read about it, like that was also written in the 80s, I believe, called A Piece of Blue Sky. Before this was like early, like people escaping Scientology books. Because as you know, my former in-laws were Scientologists and
Oh, I forgot about that. Holy
yeah,
shit.
so I had a personal stake in that shit. And you know, I watched my brother-in-law's life be ruined. He like just fucking destroyed by that shit.
Was he well, not excommunicated, what they call it, suppressive person or whatever.
Yeah, they declared me. They declared me.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Declared me a suppressive person.
Well, that's a whole other episode right there.
I tried so hard to deprogram him. I tried everything I could and like I couldn't break through. I couldn't do it no matter what I tried.
Well, see I didn't realize he was that into it.
Yeah, his mother got him into it and of course they pick a time when you're most vulnerable. Like he had just like his girlfriend had just broken up with him and he was feeling really low and he didn't have a place to live and that's when you're at your lowest, that's when they swoop in. And his mother did it to him. She's she's also joined the Trump cult.
Oh, Jesus.
From what I understand, she's been going to Trump rallies and shit, which I don't know. It makes sense. Scientology, like they're both like authoritarian kind of fucking cults.
Yeah, that's what happens though. You leave yourself open to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
When you start with one, I mean, you just attract to that sort of thing generally.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. If you're gonna go for Messiah, get a decent one. I mean,
So good. You
We
know,
have a decent Messiah. I mean, I don't know, man. At least
fucking charlatan. He reminds me of Trump a lot. This guy, this L. Ron Hubbard guy. They
and he
have a
wasn't
lot of
even
similarities.
he wasn't even a good one. I mean, he sucked.
Yeah,
Well, and that's another thing. I read a book about fucking Mormonism. Holy Christ, that shit's even
boy,
worse.
boy, yeah,
I mean, because they're huge. They have a whole goddamn state.
yeah,
Okay, and they are millions of dollars, and they just straight up. The guy was just a convicted con man.
yeah,
Convicted. The dude was a con man, and somehow, some way, this motherfucker sparked all this shit. And then, oh my god, black people. What was it? Black people are bad
yeah.
because literally black people are evil because when you get bad, the Jews came over from Israel to America, and they're the forefathers of the Native Americans, which kills me because now we have something called DNA testing,
Right. Yeah.
and you are not the father, okay, of the Native Americans.
Right.
So,
Just
but
pull,
they still just keep going. Nobody cares anymore.
just pull it out of their ass. Nobody cares. People just, I don't know. They just want to be part of some tribe, some cult, some, you know, some shit. And
Well, there's plenty of ex-Mos, ex-Mormons, what they call them.
yeah, I went to school with one, and but it still affected her. I could tell she was still.
It takes a long time. I mean, that's not just something you get over, especially if you've been indoctrinated with that shit for your whole life. You know,
Yeah,
it's not something you just get over. You
because
know,
I'm like, I kind of befriended her in class and found out she was an ex-Mormon. I'm like, so give me the lowdown. Tell me about the magic underwear. Is this a thing? Is this real? And she's like, yeah, it's. She's kind of reticent to kind of fucking talk about it. And I just think the brainwashing goes deep.
oh yeah, and that goes for anything. That's
Yeah,
why they always want to get them young.
yeah,
Anytime they always want to get them young so they can brainwash them and shit. That goes for anything. Cults, religions, same thing.
political parties. Yeah,
I mean, critical thinking. It's like I would be. That's why I'm glad I don't have any kids. Jesus Christ, the pressure to not indoctrinate them with anything. It'd be difficult. Well, think for yourself. Well, you have to give them some ideas in order for them to do that, right? I mean, I don't know.
yeah. It's
There's a fine line,
uh, yeah, it's really hard being a parent. Yeah,
especially when I mean, I don't know. It just seems like too much effort. That's why I never had one. Uh, well,
yeah. My daughter, I love her dearly, and I try to help her as much as I can. But
she's too much like you. So.
she, she, she's. I don't know. She's beyond me. Like I can't reason with her.
Oh, oh, really?
Yeah,
You know what they say? May you be cursed with a child that's exactly like your ass.
yeah, and maybe that's what happened. But um,
But I mean, you can only do what you can do.
I don't know. There's nothing I can do. I try as hard as I can. She moved in with some guy that lives in Philly. He's like 38 years old.
She likes them older, apparently.
Yeah, and he's a very bad person. And there's nothing I can say. There's no amount of anything I can do. She's just gonna have to figure it out for herself, unfortunately.
Yeah, that never ends well.
She's still only 19. He's
Jesus.
way closer to my age than her.
I was gonna say I'm only 40. How old am I? 43. I don't know. How the fuck old am I?
Oh,
Shit.
here's my hound dog.
That sweet lips.
Yep, she's my baby.
Which I didn't know the hell you were until I was like, wait a minute. when you started tweeting me or tweeting at me or whatever. Who the fuck is this person?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. The clues have become too much to ignore.
Yeah. I love hounds. Urgh.
Yeah, I need a dog. Well, I don't need
I
a dog.
thought you had a chihuahua.
That's not really my dog.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's annoying as fuck.
I just don't dig chihuahuas. They're cute, but they just have like most of them, not all of them, but a lot of them just have like a really bad Napoleonic complex or something.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I mean, when you're on the right side of it, when they're on your side, it's great.
Yeah, but they usually pick one person. They're like one person dogs, whereas like my hounds just love everybody. She loves everybody. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's definitely attached to me, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
you always get them little yappy dogs.
I don't want they're not my dogs.
I
They're
remember
never mine. My
you-
mom had Fluffy Angel Love. I went down with Fluffy Angel Love.
I like medium-sized dog. I like big dogs, but they're really hard to take care of. So
I
I
don't know. I've just never been. I'm more of a cat person. I'm not
I
really a
got
dog
cats
person.
too. I'm as Jackson Galaxy would say, I'm bipedal. I have cats and dogs, and I love them equally. I appreciate what they both have to offer.
I can't take anybody seriously whose name is Jackson Galaxy. I just can't.
Oh, come on.
No, I can't. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
I love the work he does with cats. I love it.
I've seen that show like twice, I think.
I watch it religiously.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Uh, I love my pets. I love my babies.
So drugs are bad. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Okay, so some drugs are good, but I think it should be left to the person. And if they make a mistake and if they fall down, then they should be left to rot in hell. Basically,
right.
let's
Well,
do the let's do the libertarian thing. Let's do the libertarian part. See, we've talked about kind of the right wing strategy, which is throw them all in jail, and the left wing strategy, which is kind of offer them treatment and try to get them better.
yeah.
Libertarian policy would just be to fucking throw them to the fucking wolves, basically, and like the Spartans, just throw them out to the fucking wilderness and let them fucking see if they can survive.
Yeah. Well, it just depends on the drug. I mean, weed is like such a minor fucking thing. It's just it's so much less effective to people than booze, even. But then again, I know from my own family experience, things like crystal meth and crack and fucking heroin, like those people.
Who the fuck in your? We're gonna have to talk about this. I don't know who the fuck in your family's doing all that shit. But anyway, don't, we. I just want to know who the fuck you're talking. But anyway,
Well,
we'll talk about it later.
unfortunately, I don't know if I want to say.
That's okay. I'm just saying. I don't know who. I mean, that's fucked up. I didn't know about that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but yeah, they destroy people's lives. So, like, you watch Intervention, you watch all these shows, you never see somebody on there that just smokes weed.
Oh, those shows make me mad. Actually, I hate those shows.
Yeah,
It's exploitation, as far as I'm concerned.
it is. You're right. It is. But because I've been really close to someone who's been addicted to meth and crack, I'm like I'm just trying to take advice from anybody as to how to help this person. And like nothing's working. And really, I don't know what can help them. They're just gonna have to figure it out on their own. But if you let them, they'll destroy your lives. They'll steal from you, they'll lie to you, they'll fucking take you down. And it's
Yeah,
not even them, it's like you know, not to get religious, but it's like a demon is taking over them and it's not even them anymore.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that goes to treatment, but treatment, of course, is for rich people.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
I wanted to get this person treatment, but it was going to cost me like $15,000. And half the time this person is going to just run away and escape from treatment. They're not. So I don't know.
it's not just that though; it's the support system. There's no support system in general. Society has created such a stigma behind addiction that you're
Yeah,
just a piece of shit, that you're just a useless. People don't understand that you could just like that. You could be like that.
right.
It doesn't take anything for you to be, and then you're going to be one of those people who needs help and can't get it.
That's true.
So I
Yeah.
mean, empathy. It comes all back to fucking empathy, and we don't have any. Apparently, it's just
And then apparently I will say this, my stepbrother, he's been addicted to opiates for like 7 years now. And um, it's bad. He's older than me. He cannot function. He cannot function as a human being. He can't drive. He can't work. He can't do anything. He's just totally fucked. And my stepdad is just left to kind of be his keeper. But I don't know. I don't want him to go to prison. I would like him to get into a good treatment center, but of course, my stepdad has sent him to multiple rehabs and nothing has helped. So, but even still, like, I don't think he should be imprisoned for his addiction.
yeah. What good is that going to do anyway?
Right.
I mean, that's where most people with mental illness end up.
Right. Because, yeah, we don't even have a mental illness infrastructure in the
Yeah,
country
right.
anymore. When I was a kid, at least in Nashville, we had like a couple of, I remember this, we had like a couple of like
Yeah, yeah,
mental
yeah.
illness places. And I'm sure they were horrible. Don't get me wrong, but we don't even have that anymore. Now we just put them on the fucking street. Let them just wander, leave them to their own devices.
And they criminalize homelessness too. So then you're fucked that way.
Really? Have they?
Well, I mean, not
In a way, yeah, because you could loitering or whatever you could be busted for.
especially downtown. They don't want those, dirty people fucking ruining the it city or
Yeah,
whatever the fuck.
man,
Where
my city sure is different.
for in a bad way, trust me.
When I was a kid, Nashville was considered fucking lame. It was a lame ass fucking place. And now it's like the hip LA of the South. It's just the cool new place to get. And like, I don't know which is better. I kind of miss when it was considered lame. Because
Yeah, but it was cheaper. That's the whole thing. All of a sudden, everything's more expensive, and you got a bunch of people coming in from places that ain't the South, which don't get me wrong, the South ain't no great thing, but it doesn't have the same. Then I work downtown, and like all the local restaurants or places gone and been replaced by fucking Starbucks. There's 4 fucking Starbucks within like a 2-mile radius or some shit. It's ridiculous. We got a Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's sucks. Oh,
yeah, it does. Oh, it does. I went there once when I was living in Iowa. I was working in a law office and they wanted to go to Jimmy John's. It was terrible.
okay.
Terrible.
It wasn't bad, but I don't like the guy. Let me just say that.
I didn't like the food. I was very disappointed with the
I
whole
don't.
experience.
It's one of those things where if you're hungry as fuck, I guess.
But I like hot food, and you go there, they're like, we don't do hot food. Like, well,
Oh, I don't care about hot food. It's a deli. You're not supposed to get hot food. But anyway, so the point is change. They're all changed now. Local restaurants are going away. There used to be a bomb ass Chinese restaurant. Well, it was a Pan Asian thing. Gone. I was pissed off about that. And now they got fucking, like I said, a bunch of chains and shit nobody cares about. Starbucks, 15 fucking Starbucks. They have another they've reopened a Woolworths. I don't know if you heard about this.
What? My
On the
grandpa
wrong,
worked for Woolworths in the 60s.
yeah, exactly. On the wrong street, and it's being fucking exploited.
Is it a drugstore?
Oh no, it's a fucking restaurant or
A
something.
restaurant. Okay.
I still haven't been in there yet. I can't bring myself to, unless you're giving at least half your profits. Well, maybe not half. A good percentage of your profits to like some civil rights organizations. You can go fuck yourself. I don't want nothing to do with your ass. Yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
you're exploiting. That's what else you can remember. The Woolworths counters in Nashville in the 50s. Come on, you're basically playing off that for profit, which
Yeah,
is
that's true.
that's what America does best. But anyway,
I don't know why Nashville has this big fixation on hot chicken because it's a very unpleasant dining experience.
okay, well, you're white as
Yeah,
fuck. You're white as fuck, so that's understandable. It's good as fuck. It
it's
just
it's
it's
painful in my like not it's not
well, okay,
like
no,
mouth pain, it's like my stomach fucking
okay, well, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
the Nashville hot chicken I don't like. What I do like is like meat and threes. That to me that's like Nashville.
Meat and threes. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. But like the hot chicken craze I just think is
Well,
silly.
I didn't even know hot chicken was a thing until everybody else started
Well, no,
talking.
I remember back when it was like just Princess because when I worked at
Princes. Yeah.
a barbecue place, once a month they go to Princess and we do a big trade and I'd eat it and then later I would deeply regret it.
It's not about the later, baby. In America, in America, it's about short-term pleasure.
Right.
You should know that by now.
But
All
now
right.
all these fucking corporate hot chicken, even in other cities, they're like, try the KFC Nashville. I'm
No,
just like
no.
double
Prince.
CK, double CK.
Nope. No. Princes and Hattie B's are the only two I would go to.
Yeah.
And there's a Princess now over there by Mom's house.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
they opened another one. So it's kind of
Changes
suburban.
so fast. Every time I come back like once or twice a year, and every time I do, there's just so much change. Everything is so different.
I know. I don't necessarily like it. But anyway, we're about the hour mark.
Okay.
So, is there anything you want to plug or talk, say about yourself or whatever? You don't
No,
really have
I
anything.
don't really want to plug anything. I just wanted to bring awareness to how fucked up the drug war is, and I'm sure everyone knows that. And like, I don't know. We should try to fight for some criminal justice reform in this country.
Yeah, whatever, you fucking communist. Uh, let me do the let me do the outgoing part. Don't go anywhere. Of course, the music is by dash, which is at facebook.com/dot/dash/ 6295146191. Or more easily, you can go to cdbaby.com/cd/dot/dash and go buy some music, which I still haven't. I feel horrible about. If you want to go check out the logo, new and improved logo by Jeff Prebick Jr. He's on Twitter at Pit Atheist, and he loves cats. And also, he does something called Extra Life, where he games for charity uh, or something. I'm not quite sure. But go to jeffprebig.com, actually, and you'll see his Extra Life profile or whatever. So go check that out. Of course, the Facebook is at the Podunk Polymath, Twitter at Podunk Polymath, email podunk.polymath at gmail.com. Of course, YouTube, the Podunk Polymath. Of course, that's a surprise, isn't it? Google Plus, is that even a thing anymore? You can go find it there. If you want to become part of the Patreon posse, Podunk Polymath under patreon.com. Call a number 615-378-POPO 7676. I don't know why I bother. Nobody calls. If you want to become part of the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse Facebook group, which I hardly do anything anymore, but just for prestige, facebook.com/group/the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse. All those words are separated by periods. The Podunk Polymath Podcast online store is Zazzle.com/podunk_polymath. I think there's a mug and a t-shirt, but I have yet to update the logo with the new and improved Jeff Prebick logo. Of course, if you go to the sidebar there, you can follow me on Twitter. Let's see my tweets. You can donate via PayPal. Subscribe on RSS, Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. There's a Patreon button, and there's a Facebook like button, recent posts and recent comments. Brandy, thank you for coming on and talking to me. I really do appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Good to see. We shall see each other hopefully when you come back next to the Great Nash Vegas.
Yeah.
The It City, where it's going to be $20 next time to buy a beer. I guess whatever the fuck's going to be.
Right.
Who knows? If we're still alive, if we haven't, Trump hasn't killed us off yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Well, and y'all, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Oh, wait. Nobody did. Jealous. That's fine. That's fine. Whatever.
They will later. They'll catch up.
It's fine. It's fine. You could have seen me without my shirt on. No, actually, that wouldn't be a good draw. I'd be like, oh no, I don't want that. All right. Anyway, until next time, y'all take it easy now. Okay.